Yeah, once again, I officially welcome everyone to first live session of Advanced Communication Lab, which is 17 ECL 76. And like this is a first live session, and as per September 2020 timetable, our online timetable, we will have sessions on Thursday and on Monday. So I welcome everyone to this first session. So I request everyone to pin the screen which I am presenting to your window so that there won't be any interruption. Right. So in this presentation, mainly we'll be dealing with basic details of the course and online timetable for September 2020 and the modes of instruction which we'll use in this particular pandemic situation and any other matter. So before I start with the contents, I hope you all are safe and great. And some of you have still doing your internship, right? For those people, I'll be making these recordings available online, right? So to start with the basic details of the course code is 17 ECL 76, that is Advanced Communication Lab. And for this course, we have Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Shama ma'am, Jennifer ma'am, and also myself as instructors. And I will be the course coordinator. And right, so we have almost 12 experiments in this lab. And for those 12 experiments, we have defined 6 course outcomes. Right, so these are our course outcomes. So we do have discrete component circuit design and implementation, and we do have experiments which uses kits, experiments such as reflex klystron and microwave test bench, antenna parameters, experimentally determining antenna parameters, and various losses involved in microstrip passive devices, microwave passive devices, and also optical a link. Those are kit experiments. Those experiments will be using kits, and we have another set of experiments, that is part B experiments, that they will be using um, MATLAB for simulation of digital communication system. So mainly this particular lab is associated with digital communication system, what you have learned in sixth semester, and microwave and antennas, which you'll be learning in this particular semesters. In this particular semester, also we have one experiment which is related to optical communication link. That subject you'll be studying in next semester, hopefully, right? So with this outline and introduction to the CEOs, I will start discussing which are the list of experiments, right? Okay, so for this, considering this pandemic situation, and we have uh, designed the execution of experiments in such a way that initially, when we will have only online modes, within that time we'll try to finish the discrete component experiments simulation using live multisim live, and the MATLAB simulations using MATLAB online. And once you're back to college, hopefully by next month, we will have all the experiments which has to be done offline, which uses various kits, right? So cycle 1, which will start from next week, it has experiments, namely amplitude shift keying generation and detection, frequency shift keying generation and detection, phase shift keying generation and detection, and also time division multiplexing and demultiplexing of two band limited signals. So in digital communication of previous semester, you have studied only the mathematical modeling, discrete component implementation of any of the digital bandpass modulation techniques you have not learned, right? So this time we will design and implement circuits as such using um, diodes, resistors, then BJTs or PAM to generate and detect various digital bandpass techniques such as ASK, FSK, and PSK. Also, we will implement a circuit and verify the working of time division multiplexing. And so this will be taken up in the first few weeks, where we will have a first day of the week, that is Monday. We will be posting recorded videos related to theory of these topics, and on Thursday we'll have live session wherein the instructors will demonstrate the working and analysis of this circuit using Multisim Live. I hope all of you have used Multisim Live. Can anyone unmute and tell whether you have used Multisim Live before? Gautam was there? Yeah. Jovin? Jovin is present. Can you unmute and tell whether you have used Multisim Live before?
Yes, sir.
You have used Multisim Live before. Okay, fine. So we'll be using Multisim Live. Hope all of you have a Multisim Live account, right? So of course we do have some limitations, as it is that we are not using the premium version. Some of the components, not all, one of the component which is required for us, that is square wave generator, is not available, but we do have some alternative for that. Right. So even using Multisim Live or Multisim simulation, we can like analyze the circuit exactly the same way as we are doing using actually what hardware in implementation. So I request everyone, those who don't have a Multisim Live account, you can sign up in Multisim Live, right? And even you can use Multisim Live in mobile phone, but that experience we cannot actually what guarantee, right? So so these are the cycle 1 experiments: ASK, FSK, PSK, and TDM, right? Then after that we will move on to the cycle 2 experiments that will be like MATLAB simulations, right? So fifth experiment, that is first experiment of cycle 2, will be simulation of various line coding techniques which you have already learned in 6M, and obtaining eye diagram of binary polar signaling. Then the next experiment is simulation of pulse coded modulation, PCM. I think you have it's a digital baseband modulation technique, right, which you might have studied in principles of communication system in your uh, fourth sem, right? So that PCM simulation also we will do in MATLAB. And we have the seventh experiment or third experiment of cycle 2, that is QPSK simulation using MATLAB. And the last one of this cycle is differential phase shift keying. So QPSK, we will implement coherent detection of QPSK, and in DPSK we will actually detector part will implement in non-coherent mode. So these are the 4 experiments in cycle 2. Hopefully this one also we'll try to finish before you come back to college in online mode. And I hope all of you have access to MATLAB online. All of you have already started using it, right? So those who have not started accessing MATLAB online, I request like you have to contact the respective coordinators, and please gain access to MATLAB online. So for this as well, we'll be initially we'll be posting recorded videos which will have theory and maybe line by line explanation of the program which we'll be using, and followed by on that on Thursday we will have demonstration in MATLAB, right? So then our last cycle, which is expected to be conducted offline. Why? Because we have to use various kits, namely a microwave test bench, optical communication kit, and antennas, and right, microwave passive devices kits, so that what we'll do is, in case if the reopening is getting delayed, we'll create video demos and share with you, along with the relevant theory part. And once you are back in college, we will do it like offline, like in uh, lab itself we'll do. And even just like that other like first cycle of experiment, that is discrete component implementation of modulation systems as well, we will be conducting again once you're back in college. But in cycle 3 we have experiments, namely measurement of directivity and gain of microstrip dipole and Yagi antenna. So this semester you have microwave and antenna subject, right? By the time we start doing this experiment, you might have already like studied about this dipole and Yagi antennas, right? Otherwise also we'll be sharing the relevant theory part with you people before you do this experiment, right? Then the next one is measurement of frequency, guide wavelength, power, and voltage standing wave ratio and attenuation in microwave test bench. So microwave test bench, maybe I think it is the first topic of your microwave and antenna subject. This also you will be studying, right? I think you have not studied anything related to microwave so far, so you don't have to worry. You have the subject this time, right? And you will be studying all these things before we start this experiment. And the third one is about microwave passive devices like couplers, resonator, and power divider, right? So different losses involved in actually what transmission, like use of these microwave passive devices. And finally we have an optical kit experiment, wherein we'll be setting up an analog communication link using optic fiber, and we'll study different losses, and we'll also find out numerical aperture and all those aspects. I think in smaller classes you have studied optical fiber communication, and maybe in next semester you have this optic fiber communication subject in your syllabus, right? And whatever relevant theory part is required for you people will be discussing. So this is the complete set of experiments which we have in this ADCOM lab. So now at this time I would like to pose and ask, if anyone is having any concerns or any doubt, you may please ask. Yeah, Nidin Chandra is there. Can I have Nidin Chandra unmuted for a while? Nitin? Shashank? Nitin Chandra, you can unmute yourself and say hi to everyone. I just want to make sure all of you are there. I may randomly call out some names. Right. Nitin, can you please unmute yourself and say hi to everyone? Okay, Nitin is texting. He has some problem with his mic. No problem. So then, in that case, can I have Jovin once again?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like, is there any doubt or regarding the set of experiments, or in which mode it will be addressed?
No, sir.
No, if yeah, okay. And may I please know who are the CRs of this time, class representatives of A and B sections?
Good afternoon, sir. It's me, Ligina.
Ligina, A section, Ligina, and one more who was there.
Yeah.
From boys side, do we have anyone?
Sir,
Nathan?
I'm
Gautam,
from
sir.
B section.
B section. Yeah, okay. Who is this? B
Shama.
section. Okay, Shama. And
And me, sir.
and
Cartoon.
One more from B section it is?
Cartoon.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So what I'll do is today itself, I'll create a class in Canvas LMS and I'll add everyone. Right. So please do accept the invitations and join Canvas class. And these offline videos, which is related to theory of the experiments which we'll be conducting, will be posted either in Canvas or else I'll be asking you to create an account in uh, class in Edpuzzle, and in that it will be shared. So if we we'll try if we can integrate Edpuzzle with our Canvas account, and if all can access that, we'll do that. Otherwise, I'll guide you through to create an Edpuzzle account. So have you used Edpuzzle before? Last semester, have you used?
No, sir.
Okay. Maybe then we'll definitely guide you through how to create an account. So we'll be creating a class. So we can even integrate Edpuzzle with Canvas LMS, but some students were giving some issues. So because of that, we'll try to create. We'll guide you through how to sign up in Edpuzzle and how to use that, how to join in class. And in Edpuzzle, what we can do is while posting videos in between, we can include some questions so that you can reflect upon what you have learned. So it will be helpful for you to concentrate on the key points, right? So we'll be using Edpuzzle this time, right? So once again, I'll be adding everyone in Canvas account today itself. Please do accept. So that's about actually what the list of experiments and mode in which actually what we'll be conducting or completing these experiments, right? So any doubt, you can either post it in chat window or you can unmute yourself and ask, right? So then timetable, as I've already discussed, we do have sessions on Monday and Thursday. Normally Monday will be recorded lectures. It will be posted either in Canvas or Edpuzzle. And Thursday we'll have live Google Meet session wherein we instructors will show you demonstrations in Multisim Live or MATLAB Online. Of course, we will ask you also to perform some experiments or simulations in Multisim Live or MATLAB or MATLAB Online, right? If you have any issues related to that, maybe what we'll do is we'll start a discussion forum in Canvas, wherein you can post your queries or concerns regarding these simulation tools which we'll be using. So that will be addressed there, right? So that's all about the timetable. Then we have a certain prerequisites. I thought we'll discuss what are the prerequisites also. Maybe to discuss prerequisites, we'll have a quiz, right? So we'll have a quiz in quizzes, right? So I hope most of you might have used quizzes. It's just like Kahoot, right? I have may I please know whether you have used quizzes before? Astrid? No, okay, yeah, quizzes. It's exactly like Kahoot, right? You can use any device. If you are logged in from PC or from mobile, you can use that device, right? And join the quiz, right? So now what you should do is, right? So before you join the quiz, I want to make sure all of you should enter the nickname when prompted as USN underscore your name. All of you, please do that. Then what you have to do is you have to go to joinmyquiz.com in any device which you are using, and you have to enter the code 729143. Of course, you will be actually going out of this Google Meet window, but no problem. You please keep your audio on so that you can hear any instructions if I'm telling in between, right? And as soon as you finish the quiz, you have to come back to this Google Meet, right? And in between, I may ask some specific people some question, they should respond, right? And so now what you should do is you should go to joinmyquiz.com and enter the code 729143. So please note down the code 729143, or else what I can do is I can post this link, quiz link in chat window. So once you click that, it will automatically redirect you to the quiz. So now those who want to note down the code, please note down. It is 729143. Now I am stop sharing this and I'll post the um link to quiz in our chat window. Right. So I'm posting the link here. So those who want to join using this link, just click on this link. It will redirect you to quizzes join a game window. There you have to enter your USN, right? Your USN followed underscore your name. So now what I'll do is I'll just present the leaderboard of quizzes here, right? So now I can see already 45 participants have joined, right? So please keep in mind, you should enter the nickname as your USN underscore your name. So some of you have not done that. Okay, not a problem, but maybe next time when I'm asking, please do that, right? So already 69 participants have joined. You can see in your like. Right, so 74 have joined. I'll wait for some more time. So this quiz is basically about some of the very basic prerequisites you should have. And as and when we actually answer each question, we'll have some sort of small discussion so that, right, you'll be recollecting all those aspects which you have already learned. Right. So we have 97 participants on board. Once all have joined, I'll start the quiz from my side. Right. So in case if due to some network issue or some other issue, if you are actually getting logged out of this quiz, you can join again using the same link, right? So okay, we have 103 participants already logged in. So we do have total 105. Maybe I'll wait for 20 more seconds and then we'll start the quiz, right? So I can see 108, 109. Yeah, we have 111, 112 participants. Right. Yeah, so now I'll start the quiz. Right. So in this quiz, we'll have multiple choice questions, right? And we'll have checkbox type. Checkbox type question is it will have multiple correct answers. You will have to select all the correct, check all the correct answers and give submit for such questions, right? And I've included only those two types of questions, right? So mainly we'll have questions from some basic concepts of digital communication which you have studied and some basics of op-amp, right? And maybe one or two very basic questions from optic fiber communication which you might have studied in your smaller classes, right? So I know all of you are out of this like Google Meet window. You won't be able to type in chat, right? So we have 13 participants online. So we'll start our quiz. So you can see the leaderboard also, right? So you can see who, and it's just like a hoot. I have allotted some time for each question. So based on who answers first, you may get more mark, right? In case if you are using it for assignments, maybe I'll consider using only accuracy for grades, right? So now I'll start. All of you be ready. I'm starting. Right. So now a question will appear, right? Right. So the first question is ASK, FSK, PSK, QPSK, and QAM, etc. are what are these? In the options which is shown, you have to select this, right? Right. Once all are done with this, I'll move on to the next question. and maybe we'll have a discussion that based on your response. ASK, amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, phase shift keying, quadrature phase shift keying, and quadrature amplitude modulation, etc. Whether they are baseband modulation technique or bandpass modulation techniques or analog modulation techniques, or they are line coding techniques, like what are they? Already 95, 96 have answered, 97 have answered, right? So we have so okay, maybe I'll wait for another some say 15 seconds. So now okay, yeah. Uh, so okay, and okay. Oh, the correct answer was those are digital bandpass modulation techniques. But 46 of you have answered it as digital baseband modulation technique, and 19 have answered it as analog modulation technique, and 4 have answered it as line coding, and 37 have answered it correctly. It is digital bandpass modulation technique. So, what is the difference between digital bandpass modulation technique and digital baseband modulation technique? Nothing. Digital baseband modulation techniques are which like um, pulse coded modulation, pulse position modulation, then PAM, right? All those which will not use any carriers, high frequency carriers as such. They'll be transmitting rectangular like pulse trains over wired channels. So there, the modulated signal as such will be actually what baseband. Baseband means it will have frequency contents ranging from DC to a maximum frequency range, right? So that's why those are actually what digital baseband, whereas ASK, FSK, PSK, QPSK, all those things are digital band pass modulation techniques. What we are doing is the digital information sequence, right, will be modulating high frequency sinusoids, right? So we'll be transmitting RF pulses, right? We are using carriers, right? Sinusoidal carriers as such, right? So the modulated signal will have a spectra, bandpass spectra, right? So that's why ASK, FSK, PSK, and QPSK, QPSK, QM, etc. are digital bandpass modulation techniques. So I don't know, like now you may know what is the difference between analog and digital modulation technique then? In fact, all the modulated signals are analog. Maybe they are continuous signals, right? The difference is in digital modulation technique, the information is digital, right? And in analog, the information or the message is in analog, right? So it's not analog modulation technique. And line coding technique, if you remember, what were line coding techniques? Once we actually convert an analog signal into digital signal, right? What we'll sample, quantize, right? So then we'll encode the quantized levels into bit sequences 1 and 0, depending upon how many bit like ADC we are using, right? So once we represent it as 1s and 0s, we should actually these 1s and 0s should be represented electrically. Then only we'll be able to perform any modulation or whatever we want to do, right? Or else if we want to transmit using a wire, we should represent these 1s and 0s as electrical signals. So that is actually what line coding technique, right? So, first question, 37 have given correct answer. So we'll move on to the next question now. Yes. So which of the following is also known as on-off keying? So on-off keying. So we have many options. So which one is on-off keying? That is the question. Okay, we have already 95, 96 have already answered. We'll wait for some more time. Okay, now, okay, time is up. Right. Yeah, the correct answer is ASK, that is amplitude shift keying. Why is it known as on-off keying? Why? Because amplitude shift keying or any shift keying basically is actually what, depending upon the message signal, right? Any one of the properties of the carrier will be changed. So in ASK or amplitude shift keying, what happens is amplitude of the carrier will be changed according to the incoming bit sequences. So if it is a 1, maybe we'll transmit an RF pulse for that particular bit duration, and if it is a 0, we'll keep it off. So that is amplitude shift keying. So normally we used to call amplitude shift keying as on-off keying also, right? And FSK, what happens in FSK? If it is binary FSK, for bit 1, we'll be transmitting a frequency F1 or RF pulse of frequency F1, and if it is bit 0, we'll be transmitting an RF pulse of frequency F2. So that is FSK. And PSK, binary PSK, will be transmitting an in-phase and out-of-phase signal. So binary PSK is also known as actually what, antipodal signaling or antipodal modulation scheme, right? And OFDMA, it is actually what, an orthogonal frequency division multiple access. It's maybe in higher semester, like 8th semester, you will study this. It's actually what, a multi-carrier modulation and multiplexing scheme, which is used in like maybe now 4G and all, right? So it's OFDMA. So the correct answer is given by 50, and 16 plus 29 plus 7 have given wrong answer. And out of 118 who have joined, only 102 have participated in this question, right? Okay, fine. So now shall we move on to the next question? I know you are already navigated out of this Google Meet window. You can't unmute yourself and tell, and you can't type in chat window, right? So I assume all are ready for the next question. So we'll move to the next question. So now the question is, you might have derived the error probability of or bit error probability of various modulation schemes. Maybe to start with BPSK and QPSK you have done, right? So we might have expressed it in terms of Q function, Q of X, right? So the question is, what is Q function, right? How Q function is defined? That is the next question, right? So maybe you can read it through, right, and give answer. I know all the options are confusing, right? But yeah, 78, 77 I've already answered, right? Now 47 more seconds are remaining for you to answer. 45 seconds are remaining for you to answer. Yeah, finally we have 26, 25 more seconds, 24 seconds. Yeah, last 8 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, time is up. Right. Now Q function, how it is defined? Maybe we'll see. Okay, this is all question, all options were actually what opted by almost uniform number of people, right? So the Q function, it is defined as actually what, the probability that a zero mean unit variance Gaussian or normal distributed random variable to take a value which is greater than or equal to X, right? So maybe in subsequent questions, I have included some diagrams and all, so that you will have a better understanding of what is Q function, right? So 25 people have given correct answer. Of course, these options were bit confusing, and I know it's not a kind of questions which can be asked in quiz which has some time limit, right? So but even then, the main aim of this quiz is to make you recall the basic facts which you have studied or which you should know for this lab, right? So and in this 25 people have already have answered the once again I'll tell it is the probability that a zero mean, a unit variance quotient, and distributed random variable to take a value greater than or equal to x, right? So not a problem, right? So you might have expressed the error probability of BPSK, QPSK in terms of Q function, and also in terms of error function. So we have Q function, error function, complementary error function. We'll see what are those things, right? So maybe next questions, let's hope something related to that will be there, right? So shall we move on to the next question, right? Yeah, yeah, we'll move on to the next question. Right, so now we have Q function, we have error function, we have complementary error function, right? So how Q function and complementary error function are related, right? Q of x is equal to, what is that? Is it half of ERXE of root 2x, or half of ERXE of x by root 2, or ERFC of root 2x, or what is that? How Q function and error functions are related? Maybe last time you have derived the expression for error probability in terms of error function, but right, you can straight away convert it into actually what Q function also, right? So this question is how. So there is no problem even if you're making mistakes in this, right? So, but okay, time is up, right? If you have made mistake, what you should understand is you should actually what, go back and refer to something. Yeah, I am not asking you to what, learn everything from scratch, but yeah. So most of you have actually what, it's surprising seriously, right? I didn't expect 72 people will give correct answer. 72 have given correct answer. It's half complementary error function of x by root 2, right? So 72 of you have given like correct answer, right? So, great. So now we'll move on to the next question, right? We'll move on to the next question. So it's about, again, I didn't tell what is error function or complementary error function. We have defined only Q function. Maybe in next questions we'll try and define what is ERFC and ERF. So the question is, it's a true or false question. Complementary error function is 1 minus error function of x. Is it true or false? So yeah, 20 minutes, 20 seconds more left, not 20 minutes, sorry. I told 20 minutes. Yeah, time up, right? Now, yeah, here again we have a considerably large fraction of people have given correct answer. It's true. Complementary error function is actually what it's, as the name suggests, it's actually what, complement of error function, right? So even then, maybe next question I think will give you more clarity on this, right? So we'll move on to the next question. This is going to be a picture-based question. So if you have any if it's not clear or if you are not able to see this because of poor like network connectivity, not a problem, right? So I've given some figures which are nothing but what diagrammatic definitions of Q functions, error functions, or like a complementary error function. I want you to decide whether it is true or false. Whichever are correct, you have to choose all those. It's a checkbox type of questions. There can be multiple correct answers, right? So I think I've allotted only right. So I've given only 30 seconds for this question. I should have given more time. So I've no problem. I have disabled timer so that others can also answer, right? Yeah, already 84 have answered, right? Maybe I'll wait for another 20 seconds or so, then I'll move on to the next question. So no problem if you can't see the image clearly in your mobile phone. I'll share this later, right? So that you can review it later, right? So now, these are actually what the definitions related to definition, whether it is true or false. If it is true, select that. False, don't select that, right? So I think 93 have turned in. Maybe I think as it is a picture-based question, many of you might have faced some issue, right, with this question. Right, so for some of you, the image might not have loaded to your screen, right? So maybe I'll wait for some maybe 10 more seconds, and after that I'll end the question. So already 95 have turned in this question, right? I think it's time. I'll end this question and we'll see. So some participants are yet to answer. Shall I proceed and end this? Okay, now I know you can't type in chat box, or you can't unmute. Like if right, so okay, not a problem, right? I'll just end this question. I have ended this question, and now we'll see how out of 96 how many have answered it correct and how many have answered it wrong. Right. So as I've already told, these are related to definitions, and as you are already aware, this quiz is just to make you recall the concepts, right? Maybe because of that, most of you have given actually what correct answers. So all the three are actually what correct representations of error function, complementary error function, and Q function, right? So that picture itself actually what defines what it is, right? Q function, as we told, of a standard normal distribution curve, it's the area under the curve towards right of plus x, right of x, right? And error function as such, it is the area between minus x and plus x. And complementary error function, it is actually what the complement of error function, that is area beyond plus x and area below minus x, right? So that was that question was for you, like for you to recollect the definitions of these things, right? Why I have included this here is for your exam, maybe for final exam, right? Instead of directly asking you to design and implement an ASK modulator or demodulator, they may give you the system with this error probability. So then you should be able to actually identify which is that system, and right. And when you say this is error probability of a particular system, right, you should be able to compare which system is better in terms of error probability compared to other. For that, you should know these definitions. That's why I've included these questions in this, right? So now we'll move on to the next question, right? We'll move on to the next question. Yeah, now it's about optic fiber cable. So optic fiber works on the principle of dash, right? It works on the principle of what is the principle using which it can carry a light signal through it. Yeah, so already one or two have answered. I think I'll end this question, right? So optic fiber, as you all know, it works on the principle of actually what total internal reflection. You know, an optic fiber cable, it has actually what an inner core and an outer cladding, right? So the light should be confined within this core, and that is happening through total internal reflection. Right? So maybe we'll see a little bit more details of that when we have that experiments. Right. So as I expected, 93 have answered it correctly. Only a few have made mistakes. Right. So fine. So now we'll move on to the next question. The next question is numerical aperture of an optical fiber is a measure of, right, what actually is quantified by this numerical aperture of an optical fiber, right? Yeah, we have 95 students answered. So others, please do hurry up. Right. So I'll give another 10 seconds for you to answer. Yes, I think I'll end this question now. So yeah, so I have ended this question. Right. So you might have studied this in smaller classes. Numerical aperture, it's a measure of actually what light gathering capacity of an optic fiber, right? And you might have also learned it's equal to sine of maximum acceptance angle, right? So now I want you to think what was acceptance angle, right? So like if you have made mistake, right, of course it gives you an opportunity to go back and refresh those things which you have already learned but you forgot, right? So all of a sudden when I'm asking without any say prior notification, right, it's okay, not a problem. 45 I have given correct answer, right? And 42 told it's gain provided by fiber to transmitted light. Like my question is whether optic fiber is designed to provide any gain as such to the um, light signal which is transmitted, right? Maybe in when we are producing actually what laser or like LED, right, light, right, there is some gain media which provides gain, right, which amplifies the signal as such. But optic fiber cable as such it's not meant for actually providing any gain to the signal which is being transmitted through that. What happens is, as signal passes through the optic fiber cable, because of many reasons, the signal gets attenuated. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to actually place say repeaters in between. Right. So we'll study about different losses, namely propagation loss, bending loss, and we'll also experimentally find out what is the numerical aperture of an optical fiber in the cycle 3 experiment, analog communication link using optical fiber. Right. So now numerical aperture, it is a light gathering capacity, right? Which means if later with diagrams we'll explain it. Right. So now if numerical aperture is large, so then the cone of acceptance, the cone through which the optical fiber can accept light, the semi-solid angle will be more. And if numerical aperture is less, you will have to launch light normally to the optical fiber, then only it will be able to accept. If it is actually if the light source is inclined a bit, right, it may not be able to accept. So it is defined as sine of maximum acceptance angle, right? And can anyone maybe after this, I have one more question. So after the quiz, if you can post what can be the range of numerical aperture, what can be the range of numerical aperture? You have to, I want you to post it later, right? So now we move on to the next question. Right. So this is again a diagram based question. So there is a circuit, right? There is a circuit with there is an op amp, right? And plus 12 and minus 12 was given as actually plus and minus VCC, right? So then to the non-inverting terminal, I've given a 1 volt, 1 kilohertz a sinusoid, and the inverting terminal is grounded, right? The question is, what is the output across the resistor, output of this op amp configuration? That is the question. So even here again, the options are also images. If it is not getting loaded, right, don't worry, right? So maybe I'll share this separately. For those who have connectivity issue, right, I'll be sharing this separately, right? So with one more question, we'll wind up this like a prerequisite quiz session or prerequisite topic discussion session. I'll give maybe 20 more seconds. Already 100 I have answered, but others, we'll wait for others to answer. Yeah, I think I'll stop this, right? Yeah, in this again, only 34 have given correct answer. Actually, it should be a square wave which will swing between plus VSAT and minus VSAT, right? Other answers are wrong actually, right? So it basically, maybe I can say this op amp, it acts as a comparator, right? So what a comparator does, it will compare the non-inverting input with inverting input, right? If the non-inverting input is more than inverting, right, straight away it will swing to plus VSAT. It's actually what an open loop configuration, right? And you know what is open loop gain of an op amp, right? Maybe I'm not telling what is that. Maybe next question I'll address that. Last question we'll have question about actually what open loop gain. So what happens is, so whenever the signal at non-inverting terminal, right, it goes above 0, the output will swing to plus VSAT. Output will be stable at plus VSAT. And whenever the sinusoid takes a value which is less than 0, what happens is the input at non-inverting terminal is less than the reference at inverting terminal, so it will swing to minus Vset. So we'll get a square wave which will swing between plus Vset and minus Vset. So here, right. So why I've included this is I told we'll be using Multisim Live for simulation of discrete component circuits, and as most of us will be using a free Multisim Live account, right? We don't have a square wave generator in that. So maybe what we can do is we can use this simple comparator circuit to generate a square wave. Suppose I want a square wave from +5 to -5. What I should do? I should simply change the VCC and plus and minus VCCs, right? I have to change instead of 12 and 12. If I give +5 and -5, so the plus and minus VSAT will change. So I can restrict the peak, right? So maybe you can play around with this, right? So only 34 have given correct answer. I think it may be because you couldn't see the images clearly, right? Not a problem, right? So next question and the last question is, it's on some of the characteristics of ideal op-amp. So which among the following are not characteristics of ideal op-amp? So which are not? You should select all the characteristics which are not that of an ideal op-amp, right? It's only 3, yeah, 5, yeah. So again 38 more seconds. It can have multiple correct answers. So when we have multiple correct answers, you should select all the options and give submit. Then only it will be recorded. So I've included these questions just to make you people recall of what you have already learned. Why? Because it will definitely help you to debug the circuits which you will be implementing, right? And it will help you to understand the working principle of a circuit in a better way, right? So that's why these questions are included. So the question is, which among the following are not characteristics of an ideal operational amplifier? So already 89 have answered, right? I'll wait for some more time, maybe 20 seconds or so before I end this question. So once you are done answering, I request everyone to leave this window and come back to Google Meet. There we'll announce the winner of today's quiz, right? So so just keep in mind, if you couldn't actually answer it correctly, it just means maybe you have forgotten it, right? So you have to just refresh those concepts. These are very basic things which almost every electronics and communication engineer should know, right? So if you have made mistake, you don't have to worry, right? So you have to it tells you that you can learn it, right? Yeah. So 97 have turned in. So before I end this question, I'll wait for some 10 more seconds, 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'll end this, right? Okay, so it's all done. So I request everyone to come back to this our Google Meet window so that we will see who the winners are. So now the 60, yeah. So an ideal op-amp should have infinite bandwidth. Of course, it should have infinite bandwidth, an ideal one, right? And its open loop gain should be infinity. That is why, right, the circuit which was there in the previous question, right? Whenever the non-inverting terminal input goes slightly above the inverting terminal output, it was swinging to what maximum possible, that is plus V set. It can't go beyond that, right? So its open loop gain is infinite, right? And the input resistance is zero. That is not true actually. An ideal op amp will have infinite input resistance and zero output resistance, and of course it offset should be zero. Offset means whenever we are giving a zero differential input, right, the output should be zero. There should not be any offset. So these are some of the ideal op amp characteristics. So if you are done with the questions, please do come back to this our Google Meet window, and maybe you can, some of you can type a hi in chat window if you reach that back, if you could reach Google Meet back, right? So then I'll announce the result. Yes, okay, fine. So most of you are saying hi. So now you can see the result on the screen. So any guess who's the winner? Abhishek. Gautam was telling Abhishek is the winner, right? And any other guess? Who is Muniamma? Okay, fine. So I'll announce the result now. Right. So we have Royson in third place. 106 is first place. Right. Who is 106 actually? Who is 106? I request 106 to unmute yourself and address us. Right. With yeah. I'll sure. I'll announce top 10. Right. So for us, so 17 EC 106 without an underscore and name is first. Right. Then Anil is second. He also scored actually about 80%, but because of small difference in timing, he score is 7340 and 106 score is 7410. So before I move ahead, can I know who is 106? Yours and 106. So I don't have a name list ready with me now. So 106, it is Royson, right? Okay, Royson. So then, okay, sorry. Then Royson 73 is there. Then Carlton is there, right? Then we have Shrikant. Then we have 411. Then we have Sean, right? Then we have Shashank, right? So you can see the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Some top 15 I have displayed here. Maybe what I can do is I can actually download this result and share it with you in Google Classroom so that it will have the questions and the results. So, okay, yeah. But just keep in mind, if you couldn't actually answer a question correctly, right, it's not a problem. Why? Because the intention of this quiz was to what? Just make you recollect all the prerequisites which we need, right? So now, yeah. So so these are the prerequisites, right? And yeah, one more thing. Maybe we'll end our session here. Please don't leave, right? We'll end our session here. So next Monday, we'll be posting a video on amplitude shift keying, right, in Canvas, right? I request everyone to go through that and try to understand the working of the circuit. And maybe if you have access to Multisim Live, you can try that in Multisim Live. But I told one limitation is you don't have a square wave generator there. Either you can actually search for some circuit which have square wave generator and use that, which, right, or else you can use the circuit which is shown, right, which I have shown, right? So that's it. So and Monday we'll start with ASK, and next Thursday we'll have Multisim Live demo on ASK, and every week we'll have a quiz like this, right? So maybe based on the video which was posted on which is posted on Monday. We'll ask some questions on Thursday, just to make sure you have actually watched it. And of course, along with the video, also we'll include some questions. Right. So now, I would like to hear from you now. So far, I have been talking. Right. Um, is there anything like any suggestions or any opinions or any concerns you have with whatever plan we have discussed today? Maybe I'll ask CRs, if, or else maybe I didn't get who is Forresto 17 EC 106. Who is Forresto 17?
Sir, it's
Yeah. Who is 17 EC 106? It's Valona.
Valona.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now Valona is talking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Valona. Yeah. Please, if you have any suggestions or concerns or anything you have to share, right? Maybe I should take care of this when I am actually doing online class. It would be great if you do that. Like, if you have any suggestions, please do.
Nothing as of now, sir.
Nothing as of now. Okay, fine. Yeah. And anyone else have anything to tell? Right. And as of now, I assume all of you are actually having a decent network connection, so that you will be able to actively participate in this live sessions and the coded sessions, right? So please do not miss the sessions. In case if you have to miss because of some genuine reasons, please do inform me or any other faculty involved in this lab in advance, right? And we'll be making the live sessions available in Canvas, right? But it would be really great if you can be a part of this live session, right? And regularly watch the videos or any other materials which we share during offline sessions, and come prepared for the demonstration, right? And try to sign, those who have not signed up in my Multisim Live yet, right? You can sign up. You have you can use it for other subjects also. There are, if you search, there are actually many textbook solutions and all those things available in Multisim Live, right? And also, meantime, you should get access to the MATLAB online also, right? So I think that is pretty much the end of today's first live session, right? I thank everyone for joining this session. I shall upload this result in Canvas for your reference. And for today's session, I'm not assigning any grade to it as such, right? But it is, of course, a prerequisite quiz, right? As it is first session, those who have attended this today's quiz, right? Maybe I should either try and give full marks, or I will not consider it for grading, right? So from next offline session or online session, whatever quiz we'll be conducting, it will be graded. And in between, I'll be calling out names. And if you are not responding, then right, I'll mark you as absent. I'll have to mark you as absent, right? So that's it from my side. So thank you so much for joining. Now you can leave. If you have any concerns or queries or anything to share, you can share it here. Others can leave.
So I had a suggestion.
Yeah, please. May I know who's this? Sorry, yeah. It's
I'm
Shashank.
Shashank.
Yeah. Tell me, Shashank.
Yes.
Please.
I thought instead of using Multisim Live, we can use Simscape of MATLAB
Simscape of MATLAB. Oh.
online.
Online, right? So okay,
In
that.
Simscape online, there's electronic components available. Oscillator.
Okay.
You
Maybe,
can.
yeah. So why we thought
Yes,
Multisim
yes.
Live would be sufficient is it's I think more user friendly. Like, we don't have to I don't know whether all of you have used Simscape, right? But I'll consider the suggestion, right? Maybe
But
to start with
Multisim Live-
Monday we'll use Multisim Live.
No,
Later
Multisim
on,
Live has
Hello?
No, because Multisim Live has limit to the number of components. Only 25 can be put at a time in the circuit.
Yes. But for our purpose, that is sufficient. That's why we thought we'll use Multisim Live, but we can actually also use SimScape, as you told. Right. So if maybe if you
Thank you.
try it, and if you can give a demo to everyone, that also would be great. You want to do that, Shashank? You will be able to do that? Maybe
Yes, sir.
once. Okay, great. Right. So we'll consider this. Right. But to start with, we'll be using Multisim Live. Right. It's okay, right?
You can tell me which experiment I should demonstrate.
Yeah. Sure. Like, I'll discuss with other faculty members also in this group, and we'll let you know a convenient date and topic, right?
Okay.
Or else you can take any any circuit which involves actually some components, and just to demonstrate to make others aware how to use this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
suggestion, right? And great. And anything else? Anyone else have to say anything?